What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast, Season 3, Episode 3. I'm here with Anthony Legendre.
What's up, guys?
Did I say that right? Legendre?
Yes, Legendre.
That's a pretty cool last name. This is Anthony's first podcast and your first fully professional contract with this team, right?
100%, yeah.
All right, so let's roll the intro and then let's get into it. So, Anthony, give me a quick bio about yourself, just position, where you're from, etc.
So I play as a left back. Sometimes I can play as a winger. It's been a while since I've played as a winger, but natural left back. I'm from Miami, Florida. That's where I was born. My family is originally from Haiti, as that's why I'm repping with the hat. And now my family lives in Canada, so I guess I'm Canadian, American, Haitian. A lot, yeah.
That's sick. Okay, so basically what I've just been doing on this podcast is just starting it from as far back as you want to start it from, like just from basically when you first started playing, and then just kind of lead up until high school or until college or wherever, and just go from there. So when did you start playing soccer?
So I started playing pretty young. I think I was 4 years old when I started. And so my dad, he's really big on soccer, and so he's always been following up with soccer, with the World Cup and a lot of the club teams that we used to watch. And
did he play?
He played just for fun type of thing. He never really pursued it or anything. So I started off really young. I think I started when I was 4 years old, and it was when I first started. I think you kind of just get your parents just get you into soccer, right? Just a rec type thing, just to get you going. And so when I really started to pick up soccer was when I was about 7 or 8 years old, where I was playing in Miami, Florida, and I think I was playing with the YMCA, and I don't know, for some reason I really enjoyed it, and so every weekend going out to play, meeting my friends was really fun. So that's when I really started. 7, 8 years old.
Did you play any other sports at all?
I did. I played a bit of football when I was younger, believe it or not.
American football?
American football, yeah. So, and I actually used to be a huge fan when I lived in Jacksonville, actually. So Jacksonville Jaguars were my team, and I used to be a running back. So I played a little bit of American football, but it was just kind of like on the side for fun thing. So
that's funny. When did you start playing like your first, was it like travel, what do you call it, club team? Was that 11 years old? You just start right
Yeah,
there?
so like, I mean, when I moved to Canada when I was 12 years old, and so that's when it started hitting me that I was like, whoa, like I really like football and I want to pursue something out of this. And so I think I played U13 with the Ottawa Royals Soccer Club, which was just a club that was in my town, and so we'd travel. It wasn't regional level or anything, but it was just kind of just to go with my friends, and we traveled a bit. And I did that when I was 13, I believe. Did that for a bit, and then when I was 15, actually, that's when I really hit it off with my first pro academy, I guess you can call it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've heard of the Ottawa Fury. So
yeah,
I started playing for the Fury when I was about 16 years old, and it's funny because the first year that I tried out for Fury, I got cut, actually. So
really,
I don't know if you know this, but I used to be pretty chubby.
Really?
Yeah, like I would have to show you a photo, but I used to be like kind of like bigger and like.
Just heavy set?
Heavy set, yeah. And so for me, growing up...
Were you taller or shorter?
No, I was always short. I was always...
a little short, kind of chubby kid?
Short, chubby kid. Do you know Corey in the House? Did you ever used to watch
it?
Yeah,
Corey in the House,
So legit people would call me Corey in the House. Like, I'll have to show you a photo. I look just like Corey in the House.
And, on the screen.
Yeah, I'll get it to you and you can put it on the screen. But yeah, so it was pretty tough coming into the game. So I always used to practice my juggling on my free time. So my touch was always there. I just couldn't run. I wasn't the most fittest player, so I got cut the first year I tried out for Fury. The coach was really close to getting me, and they were like, you know what, you're a technical player and you understand the game, so we'd like to bring you in, but the thing is, we don't have any spots for you this year. So he told me, get fit, come back next year, and then we'll see what we can do. Mm-hmm. And so for a year straight, I kid you not, Matt, like in Canada, I joined the cross country team with my school. I ran every single day. And I didn't even realize that I was losing weight or anything. It's just my mom and my sister. They started telling me, they were like, what's happening? Like, they could see that you're starting to have abs and stuff. Uh-huh. And like for me, I never realized it. It's just other people that told me. And so I was running because I wanted to get fit for soccer, but I was also running because a lot of my friends were doing it at the time and I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So I did that.
So for your running, did you just do like the normal cross country, just put in the miles, like 3 miles, 4 miles every day or whatever?
Yeah. So it was really whatever the coach wanted us to do. So like there'd be days when he'd be like, yo, we're running 7 kilometers today, or we're running 5 kilometers today, or we're running around the track. And so it was for the whole year. And I wasn't the best cross country runner, but I think the dedication that I put into it was really good. And so I did that for a whole year during the winter too. You know how cold it gets in Ottawa, but I still I stuck with it. I did that, and then I saw the improvements. I started losing a lot of weight.
It's funny that you didn't see it first, because a lot of times, like when you start making those changes, like I don't know, that's what people say is like it takes 4 weeks for you to start seeing changes, 8 weeks for your family and close friends to start seeing changes, then like 12 weeks for your like acquaintances and other people around that know you just to see changes. So it's funny that you're like, you didn't really notice it at all.
I guess it's because at the time I don't know, I feel like I wasn't really pushing to be like to have this nice body or anything. Do you know what I mean? I kind of just did it just because of the people that I was hanging out with at the time. They were all into cross country, and so a lot of my friends were into soccer. I was like, you know what, I'll do this. And it's just crazy how when I actually looked at it, when my sister and my mom started telling me this, and I was like, wow, like I've actually improved so much. And so then I started getting a little more serious into cross country just because it brought my game up a lot. And so after the first year that I did that, I actually ended up getting MVP for the cross country team, just because of all the dedication. Like I told you, I was running every day, no matter like if it was raining, if it was cold, like I was trying to improve myself, right? And so I did that. I went back the next year. And I signed. Well, I didn't sign, but I started playing for Ottawa Fury. And so Ottawa Fury is like, it's this team that travels a lot. So we'd come into the States to play. We played in the SYL, I believe. And so we'd always come over in the States, either go to New York, Manhattan, all these different places just to play against other teams. And so it was really cool for me. It was a big change, going on 9-hour bus rides with the team. It was really fun to do that. And so that's when I really stepped foot in a pro environment.
So how old were you right there?
16 years old.
16. Okay. How, and then like, what was your training like with like both with the team on your own at that point, at like 16 years old?
At that point was crazy. Like just thinking about it, because I remember I think I might have overtrained, because there'd be days where I'd have like a cross country meet and I'd have a soccer game in the same day. I would do both of those, and you know, when you're young in high school, you don't really realize it. But I used to do double training sessions, so I would have my training sessions with my team, and then during school or before school, I would be training, working on my technical ability and all that type of stuff. So I think 16, 17 was really the year that I really pushed and put a lot of time into training.
That's like where it made the switch from like, okay, I'm doing it for more like for fun, to now it's like, it's becoming part of like your life, like really part of your life, like not even part of your life, like it's becoming your life that you're dedicating, like you said, 3-4 sessions a day sometimes. Yeah. But I feel like it sounds crazy, but even in high school, like I did that, like 3-4 sessions even up until college. Like I did a lot of sessions, like to the point of like, wow, that maybe might not have been smart to do, but it worked. Like you're younger, you know, it's not as intense. Your body can handle it, and if it can handle it, like it's fine. You know, that's what I think. I don't know. But so you're with Ottawa Fury at 16, 17 now.
Yeah. Ottawa Fury at 16, 17. And so I remember, just like I told you.
Were you training with the first team at all?
Yeah, I did, but later on.
Okay.
So like I'll bring you up to that.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
basically, like I told you, most of my friends groups. Well, I had 3 best friends in high school, and they were also into soccer. They wanted to pursue it, and so it kind of helped me to grow as a player and really push for my dreams, because, as you know, when you have people that are pursuing the same goals as you, it makes it that much easier. And so in the summertime, we would put a lot of time together, going to the beach, doing beach work and stuff. And so 16, I'm playing Ottawa Fury, right? So we're traveling, and kind of gets to my head a little bit. And so I didn't have the best first year. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't the best. And so I feel like the coach that I had that time, he kind of picked a lot of players that he liked more than the others, and you could really tell. And so for me, it was a struggle, because I was just coming in and I was just getting fitter, bettering myself, right? But I mean, going from Ottawa Royals to Ottawa Fury, the level of play was a lot faster, so it was hard for me to adjust a bit. And so throughout the whole year, a lot of the teammates was telling me, "Oh, you're not good. Like you're gonna get cut and stuff like that." But that's only because they knew the coach was gonna cut me anyways, right? And so towards the end of the year, trials come around for the next year, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll obviously try out. I want to pursue it. I want to become a pro soccer player, and so I tried out for the next year, but I didn't make it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm 17 now. I got cut. Okay, and the whole year, what I did was I was like, you know what? I don't want to give up. Obviously, I'm not gonna quit and things. So even though they cut me from the team, I was like, I talked to the coach. I asked him if I can come to train. So that whole year I was cut, I was training with the team.
Really?
And can you imagine, like, the players, they're like, oh, telling me you're not good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, and like, you've been there, right? So you've kind of seen this, and it's just like, they're telling me you're not good enough. Like, why do you keep coming to training? But for me, I mean, I was really stubborn in high school, and so even if someone told me you're not gonna make it, I didn't really bother to listen to them, right? And so I had a goal that I set for myself, and so I trained with them for the whole year, right? And so the next year I turned 18, and this is when it got really serious with Ottawa Fury. So this is when they were doing really well in the NASL. And they were bringing in Mark Dos Santos. I'm not sure if you know him, that coach.
Yeah.
So they were bringing in Mark Dos Santos, Phil Dos Santos. And then everyone was having this big talks about Fury, like what they're going to do with the academy and stuff. And I was getting really excited. And even though Mark and Phil, they used to come to our training sessions, right? I wasn't a part of the team, but they would still come out and they'd be watching for me in training sessions, right? And so it was pretty nerve-wracking at the time. But I believe, like, the whole time I believed in myself, and I knew that I would, next year, if I keep pushing, I would make the team. And so the trials come out for the next year, and the coach that had cut me the last year, he was getting replaced by Philip Dos Santos. And so coming in, he was going to be the new technical director, and he was really into technical players, right? And so I'm going into these trials, and I'm thinking, like, I'm going to have to kill it. And it was crazy because I set my days, like, everything, and I had everything prepared, right? And so we had trials for like a week or whatever, like however long it was. But every day what I did was I got myself ready mentally when I woke up. I listened to, there's a motivational speech that I used a lot whenever I was training. And I don't know, like, for some reason during those tryouts, I performed so well, and I did an amazing job, and the coach really liked me. And so he was really confused as why the coach cut me from last year. And so that's when it really started working out for me, because that year we played in a league called PLSQ. And so it's like a French League One team. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it, but it's a pretty decent level. It's semi-pro.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like as high as you can get before there was the new CPL, like this year, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was like the highest you can get. And so we played in that, and I actually used to be a winger. Like that was my position. But this coach coming in, he was like, you know what? I see you more as a left back. And everyone was confused. And so, like, I started playing as a left back, but the things that he was teaching me, I was just grabbing onto them naturally. And it was funny because, like I told you, I got cut the year before. And even though all those players are telling me you're not going to make it, you're going to get cut. So some of those players that tried out for the same team, they didn't make it as well. And so, like, at the time, I was just so confused. I was like, oh, I thought they were better than me and everything. But it just goes to show you that the hard work that you put in really pays off. And so started playing left back in the PLSQ. I remember first couple games I got MVP, man of the match, and so I was like, oh wow, like, you know what, this is actually like, I was like, this is my year, you know, this will be a really good year. And so 18 at the time, and Phil Dos Santos, he really liked me, and he was a good mentor to me. And so he wanted to bring me up to the first team training, and I was like, wow, like, this is just, like, amazing. I can't believe, like, I'm going to be training with the Fury first team in the NASL, and that's the year they were doing really well.
Yeah, what year is this?
2016. It's the year that Jeff came to Fury too.
Okay.
So that's
is that when they won? Like,
that's the year they won everything. So they had, like, all these players. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. In training, they had, like, all these players from overseas, like Richie Ryan and all these great players, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm going to be training with them. And so I actually remember the first day exactly that I went to train with them. Training was started at 9 o'clock. You were meant to be there an hour before, but I was just, like, I was so nervous and things, so I got there at, like, 7 o'clock. I had my breakfast and everything ready to go in the change room, and I remember everything. I remember the goalkeeper coach coming in, talking to me, telling me that if I perform well, like, things will go well for me. And so I just remembered I was really focused, And good thing for me, at the time I had a good friend who was already training with the first team. And so he was telling me, like, when you come in, you know what, if they say it's your fault, just put your head down, you know, put your hand up and do better.
Yeah.
And so for me going into that, I wasn't really nervous about that, because I felt like most of the players that I usually play with, like, I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so it wouldn't be too bad for me. And so
it's not like you're coming in with like a big ego.
Yeah, no. I was like, you know what? When I come in, if they need me in the rondos, they wouldn't even have to ask me. Whenever I'd come to training, it would be me just picking up the bibs, just going in for rondos. Do you know what I mean? If someone's like, no, I don't want to go in, I'll just be like, yeah, I'll go in. You know, if they're like, collect the equipment, I'll just be like, yeah, I'll do it. And I did whatever that they needed me to do. And it worked really well for me, because I got a lot of the guys respect, and so a lot of them wanted to help me. They were giving me feedback and things. But I just remembered the first training session, I was just really, really focused. And so I remember my coach telling that to the rest of the academy kids, that when I came in, I was just focused. I just went to do what I did, and I played simple, right? Simple football, and sometimes I would even do things that I'd be like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. And so that was when I realized that I could play at this level, right? I could really be a pro. And so I think that was an eye-opener for me, because there was this one training session where it was pretty funny, because I was starting to get comfortable with the team, and we were doing like a possession drill, and there was a really good player named Sinisha, and basically what happened was he could have passed to me on the wide, but he tried to dribble through and like shoot or whatever, and I accidentally said, hey, just see wide, you know, like I didn't say any disrespect or anything. I was just like, hey, see the wide next time. He was like, yeah, okay. But he hadn't realized that it was me talking to him. And then when he turned around, he saw it was me. He was like, hey, you. He's like, shut the up. And I was just like, oh my God, like I can't believe he just told me that, right? And I was just like, ever since that day,
was he a veteran, like older?
He was a veteran, yeah, and he was like their number 10, like their marquee signing player. And so when he said that to me, I was like, oh wow, like, you know, I'm just gonna focus on myself and just.
How do you feel with like balancing that though, of like, because I've been in that with Sacramento Republic. I was the practice player. I've done that with other clubs and everything. But how do you balance that of like, okay, yeah, it's my fault, or going in and doing it and picking up the bibs, but at the same time also like standing up for yourself, and because you want them to respect you in the point of like, oh yeah, he wants to learn, he's young, he knows his role, you know. But they also, how do you balance that with like, oh, we respect him as a human being too, you know, like where it's not just going to yell at you all the time? Because I felt like, I don't know, it was hard for me at Sacramento Republic even, because I did a lot of, you know, any rondo mistake, even if it wasn't my fault, I'd be going in sometimes. You know, I picked up the bibs. I did anything. If someone needed me to go over here and do this, like whatever, I was over there and tossing the ball to the injured guy, you know? And like, part of me, like I would stand up for myself if I thought I was wrong, you know, like, and they were really yelling at me, but at the same time I was like, okay, I am not even like a trialist. I'm just a training player, you know? Like, I don't know. I felt like it was hard to balance it. Do you find that, or do you just...
Yeah, like, I don't know. It for me, at first, it was. But I feel when we were in the change room and things, that really changed it for me, because when we're in the change room, like I said, I was really quiet and really calm. So whenever I go into the change room, I just sit by myself, do you know what I mean? Focus on myself, go on my phone. And so they started engaging more with me in the change room. And so they got me on stuff like playing music, and sometimes I dance for them in the change room and do that stuff, right? And so I feel like outside of the field, that got me closer to them, and they respected me a little more. And then on the field, whereas if I made a mistake, they'd be like, hey, next one. Or, do you know what I mean?
I can see that, yeah. Do you develop actual like friendships with them outside the field?
Can I say something?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
I heard you're the best dancer on the team.
No, I don't know. Toby's pretty good. Toby's pretty good.
Close.
But,
it's close.
I've heard your name a couple of times.
But when anybody asks about the best dancer, it's between Anthony or Toby.
Well, that's because they made me dance. They made me dance at the. Did you tell her? They made me dance.
Yeah, dance at the meet and greet thing. Yeah. It's always it's someone's like one person will say it's Anthony, another person will say it's Toby, a third person will say it's me.
Who did you say?
I voted myself. I think I'm the best dancer of the team.
Have they ever danced had a dance off, Toby?
No, they will though.
We
will.
Yeah.
We all will. I'll be in the dance off too.
You know what? Matt was actually dancing in the change room the other day. Like, we were encouraging him, and he started like wiggling a bit.
I told you have to just push him.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's cool. So also, how was this back up to when you were training with the Ottawa Fury team, right?
While I wasn't on the team, right?
Yeah, when you were with when you were 16 or something.
Yeah.
As well. How was because I've been in a situation like that too, where everybody is like, oh no, you almost don't feel like part of a team at all when you're in that situation, and it's like your teammates can be like ruthless with stuff they say, or even the way they treat you or do all that. How was it to stay focused, and how did you find it that whole entire year of not? Did you play games anywhere? Did you play pickup games?
No, I didn't
just
play.
trained.
I legit just trained with that team. If they had like a inter-squad match, I would play with them. But other than that, I just trained the whole year. I played school soccer, of course, but school soccer, it's not the highest level or anything. But for the most part, most of my games were during school soccer, and I had to balance it. Like it was. I didn't even notice it, man. It's kind of like when I look back at it now, I'm kind of like, wow, I can't believe I didn't say this, or I can't believe I didn't say that. Right in that moment of the time, like one of my really close friends. So my best friend, his name's Yaya. You don't even know who he is, but he was my really good friend, and so we did everything together. So we trained together, and all the time he just kept telling me you're better than these guys, and you can keep doing it and stuff. So I mean, for me, I never really noticed. It was just like I was a part of the team, but I really wasn't. Do you know what I mean? And I was just really focused on getting what I needed to do.
I feel like it always for me it becomes like a vicious cycle of because you're not showing or proving to your teammates in games that you're a quality player. So then since you are automatically in that role of being a training player, that any mistake or anything, even if someone else does the same exact thing, they'll get on you harder. And then since they get on you harder, I don't know, for me, I got a little down on myself, and then you hesitate a little bit more. And then the next training, you might not, go 100%. You're going 90% because you don't want to mess up and get yelled at again. But because you're hesitating and trying not to play just 100%. Without playing for fun, then all of a sudden your game drops even more, and it just becomes you play worse and worse and worse and worse. I don't know. I felt because it sounds like you had a really good experience training with the first team of Ottawa Fury. But me training with Sacramento Republic, it started off strong, and every single week it felt like I was getting my play was going down and down and down and down because my confidence was going down and down every single week. But I mean, if it sounds like you just stay you continue, you said you were stubborn, but it's stubborn in a good way.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, for you, did you train with you trained with Sacramento the whole year, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it was just the academy kid coming up, and so every rare day that I did go up to train with them, I would be very excited. It wasn't kind of a daily basis thing.
I see.
And so it wasn't over a long period of time. It was, I would think I was training for them for maybe a month, 2 months, but within that month and 2 months, it was really good for me. The guys were really encouraging at the Fury, and so for me, I was 18 at the time, and the coach would always ask me how old are you and stuff. And for me, it was a really good time. They were really welcoming. They were inviting me to sit on the bench with them when I would watch the games. They'd be like, "Oh, Anthony," they'd say hi to me and everything. So I just felt at that time, all the guys, they just made it better for me, and so they were really good.
That's
encouragement.
Good. That's
really
good.
Do you think that it was because they were Canadians, most of them?
Well, honestly, that's actually that might play a huge part in it because
that they're Canadians.
Yeah, because Canadians are I'm sure when you went to Ottawa, didn't you notice that
people were really nice? Yeah,
really nice. People.
The stereotype of Canadians being nice is true. It really is 100%. True.
They'll almost do things they'll go out of their way. It's kind of like in New Zealand, right? When you went to New Zealand, everyone was real nice.
Super nice. The island, yeah. So okay, so you're 18 when you were with Ottawa, right?
18 Ottawa Fury.
So 18 with Ottawa Fury. What happened after that?
So this was a down part of my career, and so I'm 18 and everything's going really well, right? But the thing is, I was young at the time and I really wanted to play in Europe, and there was a guy who came to try out for our team. He wasn't good enough, but he was from France. He went back home and whatnot, and I stayed in contact with him, and so he was telling me if you want to come to Europe, this team will do this for you, this team will do that for you, and excuse me, you're 16, 17, you're young, so you're just kind of just want to leave. And so with the way that the grass is always greener, right? Oh man, and so this was a huge learning experience for me. And so imagine this, everything's going perfect. I'm starting, I'm playing all the games, 90 minutes, training with the first team, everything's going perfect with the Ottawa Fury at the time. But I was oh, you know what, I kind of want to play in Europe. want to pursue my goals there. And so I think that's when I kind of got in my head a little too much, and so I was really on a high, and so wanted to push for that. And out of nowhere, I was just like, you know what, like I'm leaving, even though like there was nothing set with the club, and I was like, you know what, I'm leaving. I want to do that. And so I brought it up to my friend as well, like my best friend that I told you, and he was like, you know what, he wants to leave because at the time he was on a downfall, and he wasn't training as much, and he wasn't playing in the games as well. So he was like, you know what, like we'll both go together. And so can you imagine, like I just left, like I told the coach and everything, but
it was mid-season,
and I kind of just left. I left to go play in France, and I started off playing like 5th, 4th division. And the thing is, all the things that were promised.
What month and year was this? Like,
so I went. The season was gonna be done. I left. I remember I left to France in August.
Okay.
Okay. The season started around March. Left in August, and the season was there was only like a couple months left. So the season would have been done in September. But, you know, that's when they started recruiting for teams in Europe and stuff. So then I was like, you know what, like I might as well leave now.
Yeah.
And so August comes around, and I leave to go to France. And my coach wasn't happy with me because I even though I told him, like he just thought it was a stupid idea because obviously he knows, right? He knows how it works. And so for me going to France, I thought I would be playing in like 2nd division club, 1st division club, you know, that's what I saw. And then when I got there, it was completely different from what I thought it would be. You know what I mean? And so, like, a lot of the things that the guy was promising me wasn't true.
Yeah. And
so, imagine, I'm 18 years old, I'm in France, and I'm just like, I have a little bit of money. I'm just like, what am I going to do and everything? You know, I'm living with my best friend. And so, my best friend, it got to a point where he was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have to leave. And so, he ended up going back to Ottawa. So, I stayed in France by myself. I was like, you know what, since I've come here, I'm going to try and stick it out and at least get something out of it.
Yeah.
So I did what every soccer player does, going through all, you know, Soccer Way? Going through all the emails in Soccer Way, emailing all the coaches, emailing all the teams. I just created a highlight tape. And so I was doing that, created a CV. And so that's when me and Jeff actually really became big friends because during that time, I remember it was a real struggle, and Jeff was also traveling around Europe.
He was in Germany, right?
He was. No, I think he was in Portugal at the time.
Oh, okay.
He might have been in Portugal, and so it was a real struggle for me. I messaged Jeff, and he was like, you know what? He was with Godwin, and so they came to visit me in France. They helped me with my highlight video. I started emailing coaches.
Wow.
Yeah, so like that's when we really became
Canadians.
close. pretty much.
Mimi just goes Canadians.
Pretty much, but yeah. So that was like a really downfall because all the guys that were training with the Fury at the time while I was there ended up signing for on like an amateur.
So
young
you're
contract.
over there. You're over in France, struggling to even get like quality training sessions, find teams, and you're seeing all your teammates that you've probably been doing better than starting to sign and get success and start to go up on a high.
And that was the hardest part of the trip for me. For me, I never thought that I wasn't gonna make it, or that never came across my mind. But that was hard, like seeing the people sign, and I was like, oh, like I was just training with them. If I had just stuck with it, do you know what I mean? Like could have been like me that's signing as well because it was going really well for me. And so
I always think though, like you can think like that, but like because people ask me all the time, it's like, do I think I should have stayed over in Germany? Do I think I should have not have left Orange County? Do I think I should have even stayed in New Zealand? Do I think I should have done this? And like but the thing is, like, you never know. Like you could have stayed with Ottawa Fury, you know, the team, and then you could have had a training session that you would have just had a career-ending injury, or you could have had like a session that you got into a big, you know, falling out with the coach, and then you quit soccer right there. You know, like you can always think of the high, like the positive thing that could happen, but you never know. So it's like, I don't know. You don't know if that could have been a better path or a worse path. You know. You're
right. Like I agree with you 100%. If you like asking me that question now, I don't regret going. In the moment of the time, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have gone. But now it's taught me so much. And I was 18 living in France by myself. Do you know what I mean? Not a lot of people will leave away from home to do that by themselves. But I did it, and I experienced it. And like even now when the young players ask me, they're like, oh, they want to go to Europe and stuff. I always tell them to make sure that everything's set, or make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because everyone has like this high perception of being a pro and what it has to become. But it's for most of us, it's not like that, is it? And so it's
the far majority of professional soccer players, it's not.
It's
like
it's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
A lot of ups and downs.
When you were 18 and you just bought a one-way ticket over to France. Huh?
One-way ticket, yeah.
Were you and your friend, and you just went
Yeah.
straight over there? What did you just go? What cities were you in?
I went to Paris
Uh-huh.
in the first bit, and then I went to Bordeaux, and then I stayed there for pretty much 90 days.
Okay.
So up to the
right up till your tourist visa.
Yeah, and so that's another thing I didn't even know, like, at the time.
Visas.
The visa.
Yeah.
Right? And so they could imagine me just going, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to go play in France.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even have, like, a visa or anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know about it at the time. Right? And so whereas now I'm like, oh, I know most countries that you do need a visa to play and stuff. And so I did learn a lot about it. But I remember going to different clubs, legit going to, like, club offices. I went to Bordeaux, the club. It was like some huge building.
Yeah.
And I just went to, like, ask to talk to the coaches, and they're like, it's literally impossible for you to do this.
Yeah.
So, like, it was just.
And you just have
hard.
because you go over there, like what you said, you go over there and you're thinking like, oh yeah, there's so many clubs over there. You have this idea in your head that you're going to be signing or at least getting trials with a whole bunch of teams, and then you get hit with like, not only do these teams are these teams full, or are these teams not even looking, or do they have they don't have enough foreigner spots, but then they're like, the teams that you even do get a trial with or even are interested a little bit, they're like, the visa is not going to work out, or this isn't going to work out. And then you find so many things that you just didn't even think about. And it's like, I remember the same thing over in Germany. Like, I weaseled my way around the system, but every club I went to was like, we like you. And I had a really, really good experience with the agent or whoever I was with, Marcus, that really hooked me up and took care of me. Unlike, like it sounds like with you, it kind of didn't promise. Everything he promised, he delivered on. But it's still, I found it to be really hard. This cat is in the
Gucci. Where's Gucci?
Gucci's behind the thing. So anyway, all right. So it's attacking me through the thing. So you were over in France now. You stayed up there until your 90-day tourist visa ended.
Yeah.
How many teams were you with, and how many training sessions do you think you got over there in total over in France? Like,
in total, I did quite a few. So I hopped around with 3 different teams, like 6th division, 5th division, and just really trying to stick it out and make the best of the trip. But as you know, playing 6th division, 5th division, 4th division in France isn't really, they can't, there's not really much they can offer you.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, I was training every day with the clubs that I was there with, and I also did a lot of extra training sessions myself. So I guess for the 3 months that I was there, I trained pretty much every day. Every day for that. And so going up till October, I was like, you know what? I didn't even know about the visa rule yet. I kind of just had enough of it, and I was like, I want to go back home. So even this whole time while I'm on this adventure, I don't even realize that I'm not supposed to be in France more than 3 months.
So you had no idea.
So I had no idea, but I just left. I just left because I was like, I want to go back home. I'm kind of done with this type thing.
Wow, I knew it from the start. So I was like, for me, it was like a time just counting down, like 90 days, 89, 88, 87.
Okay, right.
And like I think I got a visa extension like because the team was interested, and like I did the like school kind of student visa type thing. So they gave me like a 1 month extension on it. Yeah, and then another month, and then I finally got the full year visa to be a student. But it was difficult.
Well, that's one thing for you. You're pretty lucky because Germany is one of those places where you can actually extend it without having to leave.
Yeah.
And so for me, like France, I would have had to leave, even if there was a club that wanted me to stay. But I didn't know this at the time, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going back home October, it's my birthday month, so I was like, I'm going to go home, spend some time with my family, and then see if I can get back on Fury, right? And so I come back, and obviously I don't have a club, I don't have anything, and I'm just like, you know what? The worst the coach is going to tell me is, can't take me back. So, I set up a meeting with the coach, and I went through everything with him, and he was just like, with the way that I left and everything, it just didn't seem fair to him after everything, because to be fair, he did do a lot for me. He got me in training with the first team, and he recommended me to a lot of different clubs, and obviously he made me the player that I was at the time. And so for him, he felt betrayed, and I was like, I understand. So he was like, there's no spot for you on the team. And so I was like, oh man, like what am I gonna do and stuff. So at that year, I think it was 2016, So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, since the season doesn't start until next year, I'm just gonna work, save up money, and then see what I can do. And so the next year comes around, 2017, and I was still looking for clubs and different things. And so a college opportunity came up in my hometown in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
So the college that I played for is Algonquin College, and I figured, I was like, I need game time, and I need a highlight tape to get me away if I wanted to go try out for these clubs or anything. So I was like, you know what, I'll do that. I'll go for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And legit, I only went for soccer, so I barely went to class. And do not like do not follow my footsteps, guys. But because for me, I was really set on this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I also struggle a bit in school. So it's not that I struggle. Everything I wanted to do was with football.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll go to Algonquin. I'll play, create a highlight tape. I did that. So my first year at college was really great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like as serious as NCAA as for you and like in schools in America, but it was pretty good for me because I kind of find my confidence again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started off playing really well. I got Rookie of the Year, and so a lot of recognition around me. We went to nationals, and so I got to play against these other higher schools, and it was a great time for me to be in college. And a lot of my close friends, I'm sure you've been there, but like in that college, you're with those guys every single day, and you kind of build like a family with them. So that was a really good time for me to get back on my feet and confidence.
So I missed it. So did you take that full year off and then go to college, or was that part of the full year that you were
No,
like,
so like, cause when I went back home at like October. And so my best friend, he had already started playing with Algonquin,
Mm-hmm.
but for me it was too late, so I had to take the full year off.
Okay.
So I just took the full year off. I trained, I worked.
Where'd you work?
Star Gymnastics.
Really?
Yeah. So like I was coaching gymnastics for 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And that's how you saved up money to go over to Europe too?
Yeah, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I just clock in shifts there.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked at Star Gymnastics for the rest of the year, all the way until the summer, and then I went through my first year of college.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
I did that. So we're up to, when was this? 2017.
Mm-hmm.
2017, right? And so during the summer after my college year, I started getting a lot closer to Godwin, and so Godwin had a pretty good opportunity for me in the summertime, and he was like, you know what, DC United, they're doing like a training program thing for the summer, and if you do really well, there'll be moments where you get to train with the first team, and they were also thinking about starting a U23 squad, and he was like, you know what, this would be a pretty good opportunity for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what, like, I don't have anything here in the summer, I might as well try and do that. So I went to DC with 3 of my close friends, and it was just the worst experience. It was, yeah.
Really?
It was the worst experience just because when we went there, we kind of struggled to settle down for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have anywhere to stay, and so we were paying a lot of money for hotels and stuff. And luckily for us, there was a guy, actually a Canadian guy, that he was from Toronto. He was from Toronto, and so he at the time he was studying at Mason University, which play in the NCAA. I'm not sure if you know them. He wasn't staying there, but he was also doing the program with us.
Okay.
And he was like, you know what, like, I have spots in my house if you guys want to come sleep and stay. So like we're like, yeah, you know what, why not? And so we ended up doing that, which made it a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But for the soccer part, it was really, really crap, because I felt like the coaches weren't really being fair at this, and so they were really focusing on like the bigger players, and a lot of the players, well, you'd be doing well in training, and you're like, they're promising you if you do well, you get to train with the first team. But for me, I didn't feel like that was really
a little empty promises sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so I remember there was one training session. I don't want to like gas myself up or say like, but I felt like I was doing pretty well. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, I was putting everything in it, and these coaches are bringing all these other players in, and I was just like, you know what, this is not really what I thought it would be. And obviously, like, I stuck through it. I just stayed for the summer. I was like, you know what, I'm here, so I might as well stay. Did that. So I did the DC program with them. Played a couple games. We played against some USL teams. It wasn't as bad as like I'm making it out to seem, but
It wasn't what you. From what it sounded like, it wasn't like what you expected it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so like, yeah, I did that, and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to go home. And so it was just like a lot of constant for me. My career, for everyone, pretty much, has been a lot of constant up and downs. And you've been there, like, you've been at the highest high and the lowest of lows. And so that time too, I was like, you know what, I'm ready to go home, just be with my family.
Yeah.
My sister also just had a baby boy, so I was like, you know, I'm pretty excited. I'll go home with my nephew. And so, yeah, that was...
That's the thing, though, about, like, your career, too. Especially when you're away from home on a low, you're like, why am I out here? Thousands of miles from my family, thousands of miles from my friends, living on probably a couch or a spare bed of some guy's place, going to trainings that I feel like I'm doing well, but not getting the love you think you deserve. And then it's just like, you're like, what? It's just, at that point, you're just like, why? It's so hard, because a lot of people be like, what do you mean you're at this situation? Why would you quit? Why would you go back? Or why would you, why you're over in France? Why do you think that's such a bad thing? But it's like, you don't realize what it's like until you're there, and you know how lonely or how homesick you get, or how whatever, especially when soccer's not going how you envisioned it to go. Because if you're over there and you're away from your family and you're playing with the 2nd division club and you got a contract or whatever, it's a lot different than you're with a 5th division club and they can't sign you. It's a lot different. So you're like, what, 20 at this point now?
Yeah. So this is 2 years later, 20. Yeah, 19 going on to 20.
So summer was ending. Did you think about going back to school? Or?
Yeah. I did. And I was like, you know what? I'll go back to school. I'll do another year of college and see how that goes. Because a lot of talk they were starting to talk about like the CPL and stuff. And so I was like, oh, maybe this would be like a good option for me. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll train for it. Got back home around the end of August. And that's when preseason started for school. So I ended up going to school. I got registered and everything. Played another year. Created my highlight tape and everything. And so around, because the season in Canada is really short. So it starts September and it ends in November.
Yeah, that's pretty much like NCAA too.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. So it's
3 months. I think we played like 20 games.
Yeah. We didn't. Yeah. We probably played like 50. Yeah, not even 20. It's like 10 regular season games, and then you have provincials, and then you have nationals.
Okay.
And so the team that I was going to was pretty good for that. Every year we'd be internationals, and so we'd always get to travel. Like we went to Vancouver. We went to the Vancouver Islands to play in the nationals final. So it wasn't bad soccer. It's just I wanted to be a pro, right? And so I did that for the second year. Got a highlight tape, and February comes around. And Godwin, he used to play in New Zealand, and he was like, hey, like I may have a connection in New Zealand for you. And then I was like, oh, like New Zealand's very far, but like I've seen a lot of posts, and a lot of people told me about New Zealand, and it was amazing. And so I was so excited for that. And I was like, I spent from August to the next year in February a lot of time in Ottawa, and I was just like, I kind of want to get away and rebuild, focus on myself, and really start focusing on footy again. And so I was like, yeah, like I'll go for it, do whatever it takes. And so I ended up doing that. I went to New Zealand in February
2018, right?
Yeah, 2018. February 12th. Yeah, February 12th, I went to New Zealand. Okay, and so New Zealand is really strict on the visa rules as well, as you know. So going in there, I was meant to play with a team called Team Taranaki in New Plymouth. So I started off in New Plymouth, and so that was a really good time for me because a lot of the things that the club was promising, they were actually giving me. So when I first got there, they were paying for my place to stay, and they got me a car so I could get around, and everything that I needed, they were actually giving to me. So this is going pretty well, and so I started doing a lot of fun things because the season hadn't started yet. And so as you know, there's a lot of things to see in New Zealand. So I climbed up Mount Taranaki, and I did a lot of things, climbed up Parade Tutu Rock, and so I did all these things, and I was really enjoying the time there. And footy didn't even start yet, so I was like, wow, this could really be like a higher up for me. And so and what happened was the club that I was meant to play with actually ended up closing down because I don't know, something happened. They were gonna cancel the club anyways, and they weren't meant to play in the season. And so the coach kind of felt bad for me, and he was like, you know what, like I brought you down here, and so I'm gonna do everything that I can to make everything right for you. And I was kind of scared because I was like, oh man, like, don't tell me this is happening again. I'm in New Zealand, you know, and I was having the best time. But I mean, part of me kind of knew that everything was gonna be okay. And so then I ended up going from New Plymouth to Hamilton. And so the coach, he paid for my bus fare over there. He paid for everything.
Wow.
And he paid for the hotel.
Was it out of his pocket? Or
it was probably the club's pocket, but he paid for the hotel that I was staying in while I was in Hamilton. And then that's when I started training with the Hamilton Wanderers.
Dang.
So, yeah.
It's funny how you can have experiences with people completely not delivering on their promises, and then have the exact opposite with people going out of their way
to do these
to make
things.
It right.
Yeah,
to do extra for you. Yeah. It just depends on the person.
And that's why I was just like, wow, like whenever people ask me, I'm like, New Zealand is the nicest place to go to because the people are so lovely.
Yeah,
You've been there, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And so I did that. I started, I had a trial with Hamilton Wanderers. They weren't going to sign me, obviously, because they hadn't seen me play yet. And so with the Hamilton Wanderers, they were a pretty young team at the time. So when I first went into training sessions, everyone was so nice. They were like, hey, like, where are you from? And I told them my story and everything, and they were really chill. And I did really well on that Monday. So the Monday was, I trained with the reserve team. I did really well. And then they were like, yeah, come back tomorrow. The first team was training. And so the coach that I had at the time, his name was Ricky Herbert. I'm not sure if you know who that is. But so he played for New Zealand when they went to the World Cup, and he brought them in the World Cup as well in 2010. So he's like, and he also used to play for in the EPL for the Wolves.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like a pretty big time guy. Yeah, big time guy. And I was like, oh wow, this could be like really good. And the next day on training on Tuesday, like, I don't know if it's something that I ate that morning, but I did like, Matt, I'm telling you, I did so well in this training session. And the coach comes to me and he's like, I want to sign you right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one day with the
the first team, he's like, I want to sign you right now. And then I was like, yeah, like, I want to sign right now. Let's do it. And so I ended up signing with them. They put me with a host family, kind of like what they did with you. And it was like, the house was amazing. It was like some huge house on the hills. Like huge, man, I'm telling you. It was crazy. They had like 2 big dogs. It's funny because the first weekend that I was there, the parents were like, yeah, so we're going away on the trip. So you could just stay here by your, like the first weekend, they didn't even know me or anything. They're just like
so trusting.
Yeah, they're just like, we're going away on a family trip. Just stay here, just feed the dogs, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Did they have any kids?
Yeah, they did, but their kids went with them as well.
Okay.
And so they like left, and I was just like, wow, this is so cool, and like New Zealand's amazing, right? So all this time I'm playing good footy, and everything's going really well, and so obviously, you know, when things are going really well for a soccer player, it's bound to go down, you know, and the way it works, but it's bound to go down. And so what happened was, basically, so since I'm an American citizen, I have an American passport. And since I've been traveling a lot in and out of Canada, I haven't really had the time to build a Canadian passport, to make one yet. So I live in Canada, but I have an American passport. So when I applied for the visa before I went to New Zealand, I thought it was being like processed, and I thought since they let me in, like that would be a good sign. Yeah. Right? But they didn't accept my working holiday visa, the one for the year, because I'm an American citizen, and I didn't give them an American address. And so, like, you know, like New Zealand are really strict on the rules of like the visa and things. Yeah. And so by the time I realized this, I was like, oh, like, what are we gonna do? And the club, they were trying to do everything for me that they could. But as soon as you overstayed, so I overstayed 2 days in New Zealand, and I was like, oh man, like this is happening again. I was like, oh, why me? Yeah. And so, like, as soon as you overstay, you know, it's like, it's pretty bad, much, it's really bad, right? They're not gonna let you back into the country. They think you're trying to do these things, and so the club tried to vouch for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to go back home, not after like everything that's been going. And so my intentions were to go back to New Zealand. I thought I would go back because I wanted to play. At the time, I was playing in the winter. Yeah. So the same time that you were there. Yeah. You know, when you ignored my my Instagram DMs.
We'll talk about that later.
So at the same time that you were there, I was also there playing in the NPL. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to go back. Like, Matt's here, you know, I have to stay. And I was like, I really wanted to play in the summer league.
Which looks legit. The summer league's really legit.
It's legit, right? And it would have been pro. Like, you play on TV, and I would have got really good highlights from it, right? And so that was like my goal that I wanted to get in New Zealand. And so it turns out that I couldn't stay. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not ready to go. I was like, you know what? Australia is pretty close by.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go to Australia. And so the club ended up paying for my flight.
Wow.
They paid for my flight to Australia.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, yeah, like, do you need any money or anything? Because at the time, I was doing coaching for them as well.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, all of the coaching that I did for them, it was kind of just me volunteering just because they needed a coach for the U16 team.
Mm-hmm.
I started coaching them. And so I did a lot of things for the club. And so they kind of really liked that. And they're like, you know what? We'll help you out.
Yeah, you support us, we'll support you.
We'll support you.
Let me ask you a question, though. So, like, in New Zealand, you don't have to talk about your contract or anything, but, like, there's a lot of clubs or there's a lot of leagues around the world where it's not considered a professional league,
mm-hmm.
but they have players that are pretty much pros there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you consider? Would you call that a pro contract? Would you call that a semi-pro contract? Would you call that an amateur contract? Or if we don't want to talk about it, we can just move on to Australia.
I would call it I called it a pro contract.
Yeah.
So, like, when I posted my photos of me signing in New Zealand,
mm-hmm.
for me it was a pro contract because of, like, I was there to play football. So I was training every day, right? I did a little work for them through coaching. They would pay me for that. But it was kind of like me just getting paid for football,
mm-hmm.
right? So I called, even though the league is amateur, I called it a pro contract.
So because you were on a pro contract in an amateur league, yeah. Because it's funny, because, like, in my club, I don't even know how much we could say about this, but my manager of my club team in Waterside, Rory, like in New Zealand,
mm-hmm.
he was like, so our league here is pretty much shamateurism. It's amateurism, but it's a sham. Like, it's not amateur. And he was telling me about, like, how so many players in this league are getting paid fully professional contracts there,
mm-hmm.
and all they do is just play, especially on the bigger clubs.
Yeah.
But it's considered an amateur, like, environment. And it's just funny. It's interesting because that's something I didn't even know. Like, when I signed, I thought I was just going to go down and play in a professional league. Like, I had no idea. I saw my contract. I was like, oh, yeah, should be a pro.
Legit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said it, and then all of a sudden people, you kind of see the environment, see the training,
mm-hmm.
And then you see, like, I got a lot of backlash. Like, oh, he's called this a pro contract. I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's not. Like, I didn't know,
Yeah.
And it's just funny how in different countries they refer to different leagues or different contracts as pro, semi-pro. Some even don't even have semi-pro.
Mm-hmm.
Some just refer to amateur. In the U.S., if you get paid $1, you're considered a pro.
Exactly.
It's really, really interesting how it works in different countries. But let's go on to Australia.
Yeah. So we're in Australia now, and the whole
What month is this?
When did I go? When did I go to Australia? So I landed in New Zealand in February.
Yeah.
I stayed January, February, March, May. So I stayed till May.
Okay.
Like mid-May, which is why I overstayed a little bit. I stayed
a little bit.
A couple days over, maybe a week.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed a little bit till May. So we're in May now. I'm in Australia,
mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Like, I'm trying to be positive. I'm calling Godwin and Jeff, telling them what happened. So this whole time, like this whole journey, I'm always connecting with Godwin and
mm-hmm.
Jeff because they're like the big brothers to me, right? So they're always checking in on me and stuff. And so I'm in Australia mid-May, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait till I go back to New Zealand. Like, I miss everything. I miss my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I was still in the group chat, like, of the soccer team, so I was seeing everything. I was like, oh, man, it's going to be so fun when I go back. So I was trying to be, as positive as I could.
Mm-hmm.
But deep down, in my heart, I knew, like, it was a bad situation.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Since I'm in Australia, the reason why I went to Australia, too, is because I had a good friend that was playing there in an amateur league there, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you brought the point up that these amateur leagues can pay so much, because in Australia it's like that too.
Even more.
They call it an amateur league, but some teams will pay a lot of money.
Yeah, NPL clubs will pay a lot of money to some players.
And it's ridiculous. Like, I'll tell you, one of my friends, he was getting close up to like $1,000 a week to play in NPL while he's in Tasmania. Like, in Tasmania, the soccer is not like that high, but they
Is
somehow
NPL 1 or NPL 2?
NPL 1. Yeah, so they find these ways to pay you, or they get you like a side job or whatever. So I'm in Australia, right? And my friends are telling me, yo, you should just play here. like just play and while you're here in Australia. And I was like, no, like I'm going back to New Zealand. You know, I don't want to like sign with a team or anything, just in case like when I go back and stuff. And my friends was like, he was like, yo, like you're not going back. just you might as well
better get comfortable.
Yeah, you might as well just play here. And then like a month into it, I was like, damn, like doesn't look like I'm gonna be going back. So I was like, might as well start seeing what I can get in Australia and stuff. And so I did the classic thing again, email all these coaches.
Cold emailing.
And yeah, cold emailing. And I actually got a lot of response while I was there in Australia. Either where it was they're mid-season, they're not looking for anyone, or you can come out to train. And so there was this one club that got back to me, South Hobart FC. And so that's the team that I played for while I was there. And I thought, and I was like, wow, like this could be good for me, because at the time I was like, everything happens for a reason. And the coach, Ken Morton, he used to play in the EPL, and so like, what he had going on with the club South Hobart was really good. So I was coaching in the academy, I was training every day, and they were treating me really well. Like he was paying for my place to stay and all this stuff. And so I was like, you know what, like he's telling me all these things and he's promising me these things, and he's actually doing it, right? And so we had a team spa where we'd go to every Sunday and Monday. It was like legit,
guys.
Bro.
Yeah.
It was pretty
How
sick.
often were you training there? Like
Every day.
day?
Yeah, yeah. So like
what about in New Zealand with the Hamilton Wanderers?
It was I think I trained 4 times a week.
Okay,
because
still good.
it was like 3 trainings with the first team and 2 with the reserves type thing. But for me, since I was there for soccer, I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'll train. Yeah. I'll train every day.
Might as well, yeah.
Exactly, right? While you're there. And so, yeah, I did that in Australia. But so you know how I thought I would go back to New Zealand. So I only got a visitor's visa in Australia. And I was like, yeah, but I stayed till the end of the season because the 3 months from May brought me to like August.
Yeah.
Brought me to like August. And so like I stayed. It took a while for me to get my clearance, international clearance from New Zealand. But I stayed. I ended up playing a couple games in the NPL. And so wasn't like the best, because it's kind of hard to come into a team where they're already mid-season and everyone's already fully fit. And with me, I was going up and down.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I'd be doing the next week. So like going in there, it was hard. But I think I played 4 games. I did all right. Played a couple games in the reserves as well, which I didn't want to, but like, you know, like you're on a team. If the coach tells you he needs you for this game, like I'm not gonna be that guy that says no, right? Yeah. After everything that he's done for me so far in that year, so I was like, yeah, like I'll play for the reserves too. Like if you need me on the first team, whatever.
So you were getting like a place to stay and like pay for that the whole time you're there?
Yeah. So like because I was doing coaching for them as well, and so they were paying me, maybe a little more than what he should have been, but you know,
it always works out.
It always works out, yeah. And so then till August, I was so done with everything. Once again, I just wanted to go back home. Yeah. You know, and just do my thing, go back home. So this was last year. I went back home around August, and so that's when I really started to gel in well with OPSM, and so I started training with Godwin a lot.
And OPSM, explain OPSM a little bit. Like a lot of people, if they follow me, they'll probably know what OPSM is, but
so pretty much OPSM is Ottawa Pro Sports Management. That's why I wore it today, to rap. Yeah. And so it's basically what we try to do is we try to help the players all around the world. We're based in Ottawa, and so growing up in Ottawa, for me, I didn't really have people to guide me into if I wanted to play pro, this is what you'd have to do. If I wanted to play in the NCAA, this is what you have to do. And so what Godwin and Jeff started was that they want to be those guys who kind of direct you and help you, because like for me,
you know what the pro world's like, the college system, how it works and everything.
Before you get yourself, like me, if I had someone that was helping me before I went to France, you know what I mean, it might have been different for me.
Even to tell you, like, look, Anthony, you realize you have 90 days. You know, just to tell you that before you would go.
So, like that, like you would know that. Do you know what I mean? And so that's what we're trying to start with OPSM, and then after you put us like in your videos, we've gotten so much more recognition, and with good. The combines and everything that we've done. So we're getting a lot of emails from around the world, and so now we're thinking of ways to help people that are around the world. So we're offering different packages where it's like, we can build you like a professional resume that you can send to coaches. We can show you how to make a highlight video so you can send to coaches. And so we really want to just help help everyone around the world, but it's not just for soccer. We've got dance. We're introducing golf, and so we kind of want it like a sports worldwide thing. And so that's what we've been working on, and it's been going really well.
So you were really starting to work with them, get back into the people again who helped you out so much.
Exactly.
And that was pretty much off season, September, October, November, December, right?
Yeah. And so like every day, I think Godwin got tired of me, just like I get tired of Jeff a little bit. But they're like, I call them my brothers when everyone asks me, because they've done so much for me. Yeah. And I'll never be able to repay them back for what they've done, because behind the doors, like a lot of people say, like Godwin and Jeff, they may do this, may do that. But for me, like from my experiences with them, they've been like so amazing. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why I'm kind of like, what, OPSM, like, like I want to do this
same
for
me.
too.
I've had the same exact experience with it. Like Jeff and Godwin have helped me out a lot with everything. So even in the short time I've only known Jeff for 4 or 5 months now. Yeah. But he's done a lot for me.
It's crazy that you say that, because for me it feels like I've known them my whole life. Yeah. But I only met them in 2016.
Really?
So it's only been 3 years.
Oh yeah, I guess that's because I mean, your story sounds like it's been a long time, but really when you left to go to France, that was 2016.
2016. That's the year I met Jeff. Yeah. So like, and then he only knew me for a couple months, and then him and Godwin came to help me in France while I was there. So it just goes way back, but I've only known them for such a short period of time. Yeah. But I'm blessed to be a part of it.
And then what happened in the start of 2019?
Okay, so that's when this opportunity came up. So Tulsa Roughnecks. Yeah. And so originally I wanted to go back to Australia, because the coach, he was like, you know what, I like you, you're a good player. Come back, we can build from there. He was telling me a lot of these things that might be happening in Australia. Like in Tasmania, they were thinking about starting an A-League team and everything. So I was like, you know what, like I want to keep my options open, because as you know, you could have 3 options and all of them can go away. And so at the time, before I left to Australia again, I went to do Cpl Tryouts. And so the first and second day, I did pretty well at the trials. So it kind of worked like, if you do well, you move to the next day, to the next day. Okay, and so I did well on the first day, made it to the second day. I guess I did average on the second day, but the thing is, they were playing me out of position. So I'm a natural left back, but they were playing me as a left winger. And for me not to be playing in that position for a while, I did pretty well for that training session, right? And so what ended up happening was, I didn't. Do you want me to stop talking?
No, you can keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So like I didn't make it to the third trial for some strange reason, which was like mind blowing. And even Godwin was there, and so he's the one that brought me down to the trial, and we were just like so shocked. Yeah. Like, why? Like I couldn't believe it, and I just wanted to be justified. Like I wanted to ask, why didn't I make it? Because the coaches would be telling me, "Yo, you're doing a good job. Keep it up." And like I didn't make it to the third trial, and I was just like, you know what? Whatever, like I'm done with this. I'm just gonna I'll go to Australia like I wanted to. And so the whole time I was training with Godwin, he helped me get match fit. Ended up going to Australia. I started doing preseason with South Hobart, and so this is around November. Okay. November just of last year. Yeah. So this past November, so I went to Australia. I started preseason with them, training every day, playing a lot of matches. I think my second match, I got hurt, I got kicked in my ankle pretty bad, so I was out for a couple weeks, but like I did a lot of rehab for it, and I stayed fit, and so I did that. But in the back of my head, I knew the whole time I'd be coming here for the trials, and so I was like, I want to prepare myself, try and be as fully fit as I can before I come to Tulsa. Got it. And so what happened was, just before I was getting ready to come here, I think the strangest thing happened. So there's a team called Halifax Wanderers in the CPL team, and so like the coach was like wondering if I would like to come for trials or whatever, and it was just funny because at the time when I was in the trials, they cut me, so I didn't even make it to the third trial. But then like they're messaging and asking if I would come, and so like it was just like a funny situation. And so I had 3 options at the time, because I had Tulsa, I had
Halifax,
and then there's the you know the USL League One.
Yeah.
What was it? The same club that you were gonna go for.
Lansing Ignite.
Ignite. Yeah. So Godwin was helping me get into that as well. 3 options, and I was like, you know what, that's pretty good. But then like the Halifax coach disappeared, so we didn't hear anything from him.
Yeah.
And I was kind of struggling. I was like what are we gonna do? Like, I would have loved to go back to Canada to be closer to my family and play professionally, but never heard from him. And then Lansing Ignite like didn't really work out too. And then I was like, damn, like it's all up to Tulsa Roughnecks, and so we'll have to give it a shot. So I flew all the way from Australia. It took me like 45 hours. But yeah, so I flew all the way from Australia. I came, when did I arrive? I arrived only a week after you guys came here.
Yeah, it was like right at the beginning of February, right?
Yeah. So I arrived February 14th, something like that, was it?
Not that late.
Oh yeah, no, because
that's
Valentine's. Yeah.
It's February 19th right now. Yeah, you probably got here like right at February 1st.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I got here like February 1st, and then I was just like so excited to train with Tulsa, and I was like, this is my last shot, so gave it everything I got, and so from then on, I've just.
You had a great first day. Like I remember, like it was like we were just I met you, blah blah blah. And then the first session you had was indoors.
Yeah.
And I remember you had like 3 or 4 great runs, like instantly. I was like, wow, because it's always the first day whenever a new trialist comes in, you kind of just see. Because some will be a little bit more timid. Some might not be in the right position, and we needed a left back because we only had one at the time.
Yeah.
And then you just went like aggressive, attacking, like.
Yeah,
it was good.
I do remember the play you're talking about, but I kind of just went into it and I was like, I have nothing to lose. And before, when I was younger, I used to get nervous for trials, but now I'm kind of just like over that. It's either I do well and I perform, or you know what I mean, or I do bad. But I kind of went into it and I was like, yo, I'm gonna smash this trial and I'm gonna get on the team.
Yeah.
And so I did really well. My second day was pretty good too. We did another indoor session. I think I scored a goal that day.
Yeah.
I was like pretty pumped up after that. And then I think it was 2 days after that where Coach Mike was like we like you. What are you thinking? Like, are you liking it here and stuff? And I told him, like the guys have been so good, and I would love to be a part of this team. And so that's when it started. That's when he started negotiating like contract and stuff. And I was like, wow, it's actually gonna happen.
and then you've been with back with Jeff.
Back with Jeff. Yeah.
And so now you're. The thing is,
I love you, Jeff.
You've been hanging out on his couch for this while you kind of figuring out where you're gonna stay and everything.
Like, I'll explain that. So basically, right now, I've got Andrew. He's my roommate. So I moved my stuff into his house, but I've been living with Jeff and Janu. They've kind of been taking care of me, like feeding me every day and stuff. So it's been really nice of them to do that. But I kind of have to do like all the housework.
Yeah.
So I do all the cleaning and stuff, and they just tell me to wash all the dishes. But I guess that's like that. That's how it is in my family, right? If you're the youngest, like you have to do those things. And so, like at first I was just like, I'll do it without them telling me. But now it's kind of like I don't want to do it anymore.
They're used to it.
It's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah. Honestly, it feels like it's been forever. All those double sessions, bro.
Feels like it makes you lose your mind. You lose track of time. I swear.
Oh my God.
You start thinking like you'll have 2 double sessions and you think it's been a week, and it's been like, oh my God, it's only Tuesday.
Honestly, like, and you can tell, like, some of the guys in training, it's kind of like, we're kind of getting tired of each other, and more like, and like a lot of battles have happened.
Should be tackles.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, I wanted to talk about the first time I saw you walk into the gym.
Okay, because we haven't talked about it, but you watched my videos for a decent amount of time before, and then when we said it earlier, you DM'd me when I was in New Zealand. You were in New Zealand.
This guy, he ignored me.
It wasn't that I didn't read it.
I felt so bad. But basically, so I think when I really started watching your videos, I watched a couple of your videos from Germany, but the time that I started, you had already posted all these videos, so I would have to go back to watch them, like while you were uploading, right? So it was kind of like a binge watch. It was pretty cool. And so I think when you started your day in a life, that's when I really started to I was like, oh man, like I like these videos because I've told you before that
It's
like
probably
I
a
have
lot
my
like
own-
France when you were over in France.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a lot like France, and so like I also like wanted to start my own channel and
Mhm.
stuff, and so like it was really cool for me to watch like these vlogs and things, and so I think, yeah, when you started the day in life all the way through your surgeries
Mhm.
and everything, and I just like stuck to it, and then when I saw that you were in New Zealand, I was like, oh my god, like I have to message this guy,
Yeah.
and like one of my friends in New Zealand, he actually watches your channels a lot. He's like, yo, you should message him
Mhm.
and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'll actually do it. Message him, you know, he never got a message back or
I
anything.
feel so bad.
I was like, hey Matt, like I watch your videos all the time. I just wanted to tell you like you look like a really nice guy. If you like to train sometime, and
Uh-huh.
and this guy just like fully on
No,
ignored me.
this is what's that? Ignore you. Make me sound like I'm such a bad guy, and I don't want to sound like I have like, oh, I'm so like big time, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
I get a lot of DMs and a lot of stuff, and I miss so many. And I feel I wish there was a limited amount of hours every single day, and I would
Yeah.
spend 7 hours a day responding to every single DM, every single comment, every single email, but.
It's yeah like
Yeah, no, it's funny though. When you said that, it's like, yeah, I DM'd me. Yeah, I DM'd you, never DM'd me
Yeah.
back. I was like, oh, damn it.
and like even when you walked into the change room, because I was like, when you walked in, I swear I was just like I was shocked because I used to see you on Jeff's snaps and
Yeah,
everything.
Jeff said he had to like hit you.
No, like it was bad. Like it was.
You were just like staring or something.
Yeah, it was kind of like you know when you like meet like someone famous. It was like I'm not
Someone
I'm
not
not like
famous.
boosting you up or anything, but I like it was kind of like that when you came in, and I was just like, oh shit, like
Mhm.
it's actually Matt.
Yeah.
You know, and like when I saw you walk in and you're just like, what's up to everyone, hey. You told me hey, and I was like, hey man. I was just like I wanted to say more, but I was just like, hey, you know, I didn't want to be
Yeah.
like a loser. I didn't want to be like a loser. And then when we went into the weight room, you were kind of just like, hey, we started talking a little more,
Mhm.
and then I told you I watch your videos and stuff. And
Yeah, that's sick.
yeah, it was pretty good. Mm.
That's sick. All right, and then so now you're at Tulsa now for the season.
Mhm.
You're excited. You got the visa, everything.
Well, I'm American, so
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
need a
Yeah,
visa.
that's true.
Yeah.
You're
Although-
more American than Canadian.
I
pretty
am,
much
I
now.
am. But actually, so Tulsa, the Roughnecks, they haven't announced that I've signed yet. So I still like.
Oh yeah.
I still kind of just want to like they've been telling me they're sending it in,
Mhm.
I want to just announce it, but like
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Even for me, it felt like it took. I don't know, it took 2 weeks.
Is
I
he
think.
allowed to?
no, yeah, like we're allowed
Oh,
to say it,
okay.
yeah.
But
I've
it's
already
just not-
I've already like posted it and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not like formally announced by the club yet.
By the club, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but that's sick. So now
Can
this is.
Can you also say the fact that he's the only trialist that's been signed?
Yeah, I think so.
There's been
Am I
one.
really?
I think you're the only trialist that's
There's
been
a
signed.
few.
I can't think of
Seems like
anybody else.
kind of a bit of
Oh,
training,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. No, like I said, you had a really good first couple days. I was like, damn, you like meshed really quick into the runs, especially in indoor. But anyway, so now after all those repeated seasons of visa issues of it not working out, like now you are going to be in a place for 9 months. You're American, so there's no issue with that.
Nothing.
Knock on wood that nothing else happens, but yeah, you're excited for this year and for this season.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like my first legit pro contract.
Mhm.
And so even though a lot of people they don't really back the USL like a lot, so a lot of people would be like, oh, you're playing in the USL, but for me, I'm like, man, I'm a pro. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like no matter what you say to me, I'm a pro. Like I've worked so hard to get here.
Exactly.
And like the journey is such a ride, and
Mhm.
like I know right now there's gonna be days where I'm gonna be on a low,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna push for everything. So my goal is to play in the MLS,
Mhm.
and so I'm 22 right now. So God willing, I'll be able to push for my dreams and really try and play in the MLS, and hopefully I'm praying that I get like a national team cap.
Yeah.
Like not like I'm an American citizen, but I could also play for Haiti
Mhm.
as well. So like I just really want to this year. I want it to be a building year
Mhm.
where I work on all my weaknesses. So I want to get stronger. I want to get faster and all these things, right? And so with this team that I'm on now, with guys like you, and we're such an athletic team,
Yeah.
right? And so I really want to push for that, where like it's very physical in training, so that's really good for me. I can learn how to use my body more, and so like I'm super pumped up. I can't wait like to see like how everything falls out. And the USL is a long season, right? And so kind of like you explained, you were brought in as like a second right back. I remember watching one of your videos. Like I'm in the same situation, right? So they've already got like who they're set on, but for me that's still not gonna block me. I'm gonna push it and try and give everything.
Yeah, like it's a long season. A lot can happen. You never know. All it takes, I mean, so many things can happen. Like over 9-10 months, over 34 games, like just never know. All it takes is one good week, you know.
No, that's true.
And boom. So now, okay, so that's been your career. This is a long podcast. I like it. It's a good podcast.
Is it? What are we at?
15.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I'm just gonna ask you a few questions. I'm gonna just ask a few of my favorite questions now.
Okay.
Of just like what I love to ask all pros. You've definitely gone through a lot of lows, like you said, the roller coaster of highs and lows. What's been the absolute lowest and the absolute highest of your career?
The absolute lowest would probably be when I got, I would say France, but it would probably be when I got cut from the team that I was training with Fury when I was 16 at the time. I think because I was home, and like a lot of like the people that I knew, they kind of knew I got cut, and so it was kind of hard to like to go train with a team that I'm not even playing with. To go be a part of something that...
Did you think that you were going to quit during that year?
No, I never... Like, that's one thing about... Like, I never thought I was going to quit as a soccer player. I always said, just keep going. Like, I always said to myself, I'd rather fail trying to do something that I love than not try at all.
Yeah.
So, I never thought about quitting. So, I think that would have been my lowest of lows. And the highest for me was... I guess when I don't know, like I want to say when I signed for Tulsa, but when I was training with the Fury first team, that was like...
That's probably pretty cool.
That was like so cool, man. Just coming into the change room, like they're having everything ready for you. Like, you know, in your laundry, you come into your locker, all the guys say hi. They're like, Anthony, get some music on, you know. Anthony, do the wave thing that you do. And like, that was probably like the highest of the highs for me, just because...
It was the first.
It was the first. And it was kind of like... It's just funny because a year before that, I was...
At your absolute lowest.
I was at my lowest, and I didn't want like people to see me at training because like I wasn't really on the team. And then I was the only player that was training with the first team at that time. And even those guys that I was playing with, like even now, like they'll message me, they'll be like you're doing great things. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think that would be the highest.
That's cool.
that I've been at.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. If you could go back to yourself at your lowest or at your highest, depending, so 16, 17, what would your advice be as a 22-year-old now telling your younger self? Like, would you have a piece of advice that you want to give them?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was in high school at the time that I was 16, I would tell myself to do focus a lot more off the pitch, because I always did ball work, a lot of touches, a lot of the same similar drills that you do in your videos, but I never really got into the gym. So I would do a lot of like cross country running, long distance running. Like I can run pretty decent long distance, but I would tell myself to get into strength training more, so I could be more explosive. Because then now those are the things that I feel like I need to improve on. And if I had done it back then, it would have just sped up like to where I'm at now.
It's funny because all pros, especially when you get to the pro level, it's like when you're younger, you can rely. So if, let's say you're more technical, you're more creative with the ball, like you can rely more on that, and you can get away with being slower or weaker or whatever, or less fit. But as you go up and up and up, everybody starts to get better with the ball, you know. Or everybody, like for me in high school, I was kind of the opposite. Like I was always, at a younger age, I was, you know, from 13 to 15, I was one of the best players on the ball. But then like my weakness was my strength and everything and my size, so I did way too much strength and power and speed, and it helped me a ton. But then my ball skills started to go down. So then at my senior year, I was just bullying kids, running past people, didn't rely on skills at all. But I was scoring tons of goals. It's like I didn't need to, because I could just outrun, out sprint, do anything. And then as I got up to college in the pro game, everybody became faster. Everybody became stronger. And it's like now I need to rely more on the ball skills, you know. So it's like, I don't know. It's like you have to be always working on your weaknesses at that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. And then do you have anything else that you wanna say to
everyone?
anybody watching? Yeah.
Just like, follow me on Instagram.
Dude, at the very beginning of the video, you'll have the little pop.
Oh, I will. Okay. Yeah. Well, like when they click that, does it go to the link?
No, so they have to actually type in. But in the description as well, if they go in the description, there's a link. If they click that, even on the iPhone or whatever, it'll take them straight to your Instagram.
You can't do like that thing where you put my page on the screen.
That's only at the very end. I could do it right now at the very end of the video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but like everyone watching this, I just wanted to say, like, if your goal is soccer and you wanna pursue it, don't let anyone tell you can't. Right? You know your limits. You know your body. So just push yourself and get her done.
Get her done.
That's it.
You really are American. Huh?
I don't know why I said that, but
that's sick. This has been Anthony.
You go home and be like, why did I
oh, you don't want to say like anything to the Haitians watching, like sac passe?
Oh yeah. So I've been learning Creole a lot. So sac passe.
Yeah. Well, how do you say goodnight?
Yeah. I got it. It's noir.
Noir.
Is that noir?
Does it sound
How is
French?
noir?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
It's not
Yeah.
actual French?
But that's pretty close.
It's like bonne nuit.
Bonne nuit.
It's close.
That's
Bonne
very,
nuit.
Yeah.
Bonne nuit.
Yeah, that's it.
And then sac passe, napoulet.
Yeah.
I can speak some Creole. I'm learning it all. No, but that's sick. Thanks for sticking around for this long podcast and sharing everything. It's really cool.
Thanks for having me.
Can you sign us off? Say thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff in Creole.
In Creole?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit rusty, but yeah, sure.
What do you mean? You speak it every day, pretty much with Fred.
With Fred, yeah, but like I don't know. Now you're kind of putting me in the spot. Okay.
Just try. Nobody's gonna know really, unless there's probably actually gonna be some people who can speak it. To be honest.
Here, I'll say a couple of things. Merci pour tout le monde qui a regardé la vidéo. Napwell, bonne nuit, à tout à l'heure.
That's sick. It does sound French.
Yeah.
Sounds like Fred.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Anthony. Be sure to follow him on his social media in the description. All that stuff. But yeah, this is another Against All Odds podcast. All right, guys. See you later.